Santiago Canyon College is an innovative learning community in Orange, California, with more than 260 certificate and degree programs. Santiago Canyon College is a proud sponsor of community programming and OC World.
OC World is made possible by the generous contributions of Marisla Foundation, Keith and Judy Swain Family Foundation, Wells Fargo Bank, the University of California, Irvine, Orange County Community Foundation, Farmers and Merchants Bank, and viewers like you. Thank you.
Media in Orange County, California has undergone multiple evolutions that have reflected the region's growth, cultural shifts, and technological advancements. The timeline traces back to the early 1900s, when newspapers emerged as the primary source of information and entertainment. The mid-20th century witnessed significant expansions in media with the emergence of radio and television, which helped connect Orange County residents to the broader communities. But somewhere along this media landscape between then and now, the tectonic plates shifted. Legacy print publications struggled to survive in the ever-expanding world of likes and clicks, Facebook and TikTok, and hedge funds that gobbled up newspapers not necessarily for better news, but to break them up for better profits. Just in the last decade, the Orange County Register ended up in bankruptcy before being purchased by Digital First Media News, and more recently, the Los Angeles Times slashed roughly 20% of its newsroom employees. These dramatic shifts in media have clearly hit local communities the hardest, especially here in Orange County, which may in fact be the largest news desert in the country. OC World recently sponsored an event with OC Forum that brought together a group of diverse journalists to discuss the ever-changing media landscape of Orange County. Gustavo Arellano, reporter-columnist for the Los Angeles Times, Ashley Alvarado, Vice President Community Engagement for LAist, Todd Harmonson, editor for the Orange County Register, and Rick Reef, editor-at-large for the Orange County Business Journal.
Been doing this now at the Register for 26 years with the company, and I've seen wild changes from a robust newsroom there on Grand Avenue in Santa Ana to now most of our people are working from home, and we've got a small office just down the street in Irvine. But we're still doing the job. We do it with fewer people, and I think that's the same at every news organization across the country right now.
Something that you'll hear throughout the day is that we are losing journalists across the country at a pace that is faster than we're losing coal miners. To give an actual number to that, that's more than 300,000 journalists in the last 20-something years. It is significant. And so when we talk about everything that you're mentioning, and who's watching, we're getting hit across the board. I'm looking to you to fact check me, but there were hundreds of journalists from the LA Times in Orange County, when our executive editor was here covering transportation, and you don't see that kind of presence. And so there's a real need to make sure that, that we're doubling down. And I'm very mindful of this conversation. We're in the middle of voluntary buyouts at my organization right now. The challenges, whether you're in the for-profit sector or the nonprofit sector, are real. At the same time, the need is so pronounced in Orange County that we are actually redirecting some of our resources to make sure that we have a bigger presence here.
The state of Orange County media is crap. It's been crap, and it's the fault of everyone in Orange County. That's what it is. The Orange County Register, God bless Todd, he's amazing. He's doing the miracles that he can with a shell of what the Orange County Register used to be. My paper, the Los Angeles Times, we have no one covering Orange County as a dedicated beat. Yes, I cover Orange County as a columnist, but I'm also, they mostly have me in Los Angeles nowadays. The paper that I used to work for, OC Weekly, of course, gone. OC Metro, gone. Orange County Business Journal has always had its lane, and it does a great job at its lane, but still it's very limited. My big issue with the state of Orange County media, sorry, I'm humming, is that there is almost no one left who tries to weave the narrative of Orange County together. I'm glad all of you, since you're seeing that there is no one telling your stories, you're taking the initiative to tell your stories. I'm not going to be one of those people hating on PR folks or anything like that. You're taking to social media and all that, but all of you are just focused on what you do. No one is trying to tell that big story. Who is going to tell the story of Orange County? We're 3.2 million people. There's so many stories here. Do we not care about Orange County? And the saddest thing of all, we're also one of the richest places in the United States. Where's the rich people trying to create something to try to tell that narrative that's not just always about burnishing themselves? So yeah, Orange County media is crap, despite those of us in the media who are trying. We're trying. Oh God, we're trying.
It's kind of changing, and it's going to be really rough for the legacy media. So far, the Orange County Business Journal, we're doing great. Our readers still like to get the glossy publication every week, but there's going to be a change. And again, I think that the opportunities for journalists are there if they would really listen to their potential audience and go back to journalistic principles.
Understanding the community, ethnic, and language media landscape in whether you're talking about LA County or Orange County, recognizing when you're producing great journalism, but you're not the trusted messenger in a particular community, how can you support partnerships and get to looking at like the information ecosystem as opposed to your one organization? And the last very quick thing, there's for those who know, the Knight Foundation, which funds a lot of journalism. At their recent conference, they talked about getting philanthropy to move at the pace of journalism, which I really appreciated because for the near term, philanthropy is going to play a very big role, whether you're at a nonprofit or a legacy publication.
Hi, my name is Teresa Wright, and I'm from Little Saigon TV. And as you know, that Orange County is the largest Vietnamese populations. So as you know, the culture is defined by people, and also that the cultures drive the behaviors, and it's always evolving. So for you to create the content, ethnic content, I learned that people trust in language. So have you ever worked with ethnic media locally in order to build trust in a community?
If any publication wants to be essential to the community or the region that it covers, you need to have the people who know it. And a person who speaks Vietnamese is going to have far better understanding of Little Saigon than, say, myself. But it doesn't also always work out that way. So you as an editor, and I wouldn't just leave it on editors. This has to be on the reporters. I have to say, when I joined the OC Weekly, I saw also, at the time, we were mostly covering Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach, Irvine. They weren't covering really Anaheim. They definitely were not covering Santana. Me as a reporter, like, okay, I'm new. Let me cover these communities, not because I'm Latino, but because I see an opportunity for me to be able to cover it. And by the way, they all happen to be Orange County communities.
Also in attendance at the forum were two pillars of the media community. Steve Churm, founder, publisher of the now defunct OC Metro magazine, and Richard Reisman, publisher of Orange County Business Journal. Churm has had a stellar career as a journalist. After college, he spent his first 14 years at daily newspapers in California before landing a job in 1983 as general assignment reporter at the Orange County Register, a time in which print media was accelerating at a phenomenal pace. He then worked at the Los Angeles Times for 7 years when the two daily newspapers competed in what Churm describes as one of the most exciting newspaper scrums in America at the time. Briefly, wasn't there a time when the Orange County Register decided it was all about community newspapers? I think they called it total market coverage, that they opened up all these weekly newspapers in almost every city of Orange County.
Well, I think the Register recognized this is a county that is different than, say, Los Angeles or San Diego, in the sense of, in those two markets, you have the city of San Diego and you have the city of Los Angeles, which really act as the hub of those counties. We are really here in Orange County, 34 different municipalities. Yes, we have county government. It's located here in Santa Ana, but it is really decentralized. And I think at that time, the Register said, you know what, we need to play to that very hyper-local market and make sure that we have publications, whether they're weeklies or twice weeklies, that are really talking about neighborhood type issues. And we'll leave the main paper to take a look at the wider county or regional issues with some national and international news. But it was a smart play then, because I think it worked for quite a while in terms of bringing more subscribers into the mix for the Register.
Eventually, he launched Churm Media and OC Metro, a business lifestyle magazine, along with roughly 10 other titles in Orange County and Southern Nevada. But after 22 years as a publisher, Churm sold his company to Freedom Communications, which had purchased the Orange County Register and attempted to reinvest resources back into legacy print publications. Is it fair of me to suggest that that shift, that emphasis into legacy print for a couple of years there that they were involved before it went into bankruptcy, when it did go into bankruptcy, that it was a major turning point for media in Orange County?
Absolutely. Absolutely it was, because the Register, and even today, the Register, in terms of number of subscribers, readers, if you will, eyeballs, is the largest media outlet in Orange County. Not what it once was, sort of a shell or shadow, although they would suggest that there is a growing online audience. Fantastic, if indeed correct. But the failure by Spitz and Kushner to really re-energize this county and get readers to embrace legacy media was indeed a turning point. I believe if they had pursued that path, but combined it with a similar investment in online, in digital, in technology, today they might still be here and the Register might be something very different than what it is today.
Where are we today? The Register, we just kind of talked about. There's one digital platform in Voice of OC here in Orange County. There's a smattering of weekly publications across the county. What does the media landscape look like today?
There's less of it. There is less of it. But it is still important, and there are still opportunities for stars to rise, whether it's an individual in the media space telling stories, or whether it's an entity rising to tell stories. This county is one of the most important in America, not only in terms of its size, but in terms of its economic prowess, because of how this county has evolved. This is a desirable place to live, and it's attracting capital. It's attracting tremendous outside interest globally here. And therefore, this will be, for decades to come, a place of I think, incubation, collaboration, and I think innovation.
Richard Reisman is arguably one of the most successful publishers in Orange County's history. His career path into media, however, didn't necessarily come from the editorial side. After graduating from law school and working for a law firm for a few years, and then going to UCLA Business School, he landed a job as manager at Times-Mir, then owner of the Los Angeles Times. Eventually, he made his way to Orange County to ultimately become publisher of the Orange County Business Journal. In an interview that I had seen with you recently, when the digital revolution sort of surfaced in media companies, you did not get involved right away. And I'm wondering, what was your thinking behind that? Because a lot of the other newspapers did.
They all did.
And it didn't work out well.
We're the only ones who didn't.
And so-
and by we, it's our group, which is the LA, San Diego, and Orange County Business Journals. We didn't do what the entire rest of the industry did. And the way we didn't do it is the particulars of how we didn't do it, we don't let people subscribe to our content, which is enterprise journalism. It's exclusive content. You can't get it anywhere else. We don't let you access this. There's a daily email, but that's not this content. That's press release stuff. You must subscribe to it in print. Why? Why does that make sense? Because the marketplace will give you only pennies for a digital reader versus give you $1 for a print reader. So why would I want to migrate my readers from print to digital? I'm aware that digital advertising is the biggest segment of advertising in the history of mankind, but that's called Google, Facebook, and Amazon. They've got a $5 trillion valuation if you combine them, because they are the dominant seller of digital advertising. I don't know what the number is. It's in the magnitude of 2/3 of all digital advertising are those three companies. Then there's another 100 companies, maybe 200, that might add another 10%. And they got a good business. The other has like one of the world's greatest businesses. And for everyone else, it's a crummy business. Digital advertising is just a crummy business. It does not generate, the pennies you get from digital advertising doesn't add up. It's not enough to pay for journalists. And I like journalists.
You mentioned digital revenue for newspapers, for legacy print publications. Clearly the advertising for the print publications is diminishing. You talk about pennies on the dollar for digital advertising. Right. How do those models sustain themselves over the next several years?
The secular decline began in, I think 2005 was the peak. So we're almost 20 years into it, and we're still making the same kind of money we made in 2005 today. So we're managing to maintain our print advertising revenue even in the face of 20 years of decline, because we don't cannibalize ourselves by moving our readers away from the print. That's what we do, and I've never been one for like industry conventions or conferences. I just stick to my knitting. I want to meet people in Orange County. I don't need to meet people all over the country that do what I do. Some of the people in our group do, and so if they have some good ideas, it comes to us in monthly publisher meetings where they go, hey, a lot of these guys are finding success doing that. I look at other business journals to see what they're doing. But I think you get a group think when you go to those things, and everyone's going to say, your kids are going to just make fun of you, that you just got your head in the ground, you're an ostrich, you're going to be a dinosaur, and you just don't get it, that the world's gone digital. Well, there was a bunch of companies that went digital, but you're not them, and you can't become them. You don't offer what Facebook and Amazon and Google offer. They're disruptors, but you're not going to become them just because you compete with them. You compete with them with your hands tied behind your back. It's not a level playing field competing with those guys. And so you're going to get pennies. You're going to get scraps. That's what's happened. That's why there's no money for journalism, and that's why daily newspapers are dying. And that's why I see the only possible road out is philanthropic money. And I can see that it could happen.
Let's talk about that, because I agree, right? I agree that there's an opportunity for philanthropic money to come in and help sort of sustain some of the business models that exist out there. And that may be what's required in order to maintain a robust media presence for the community, and specifically Orange County. That model works if the money's there to support it. And it's a hard, probably, path to travel down year after year after year after year.
Right, we'll see how that goes. Like Jeff Bezos is doing it. He's a little upset that the losses started to approach $100 million a year, but I think they're gonna figure it out.
OC World reached out to Orange County Register publisher Ron Hasse for an interview, but through his senior director of marketing, he declined our invitation. OC World also reached out to Voice of OC publisher Norberto Santana for an interview, who initially agreed but canceled twice and then stopped responding to our invitations. However, he recently wrote an editorial about the little newsroom that could, meaning Voice of OC, that launched 15 years ago. Santana acknowledges in his editorial the partners and donors who helped support Voice of OC over these last 15 years, but seemingly shifted his current approach to business with the ultimate goal to become fully funded by readers' reoccurring donations. For reporters like Gustavo Arellano and publishers like Steve Churm and Richard Reisman, the near future media models will need to be both innovative and transformative. Given the current landscape of media in Orange County today, the LA Times has gone through some changes, right? There have been a few layoffs over the last 12 months.
There's been a lot of layoffs.
Been a lot of layoffs, yeah, and other papers as well. Sort of diminishing advertising revenue for some newspapers as well locally. Orange County Register went through a bankruptcy. As a person who grew up in Orange County and has worked in media, where do you currently see the media landscape?
Orange County media is a desert. I mean, desert has more vibrancy and ecology than what's happening in Orange County media. It's very unfortunate. You have the Register, which is a shell of itself. You have the Voice of OC, which is great, but its audience is always going to be limited to wonks, really. You have a lot of stuff online, like just social media posts, social media accounts, but those people are always going to be telling their story and not anything else. No one's really trying to connect all of Orange County. That is severely missing. Even the Voice of OC, they don't cover all of Orange County. The Register can barely cover all of Orange County. There is no, as Orange County, we're 33 cities, we're 3.2 million people. What connects us as a region, as a people? That was a question that OC Weekly always not only answered, but was always questioning people about. So we're in a very dire straits, and I just don't see it improving at all. Los Angeles media does not care much about Orange County. National media only comes to treat us as a freak show. So who are going to be the people? OC World, that's another one, but that's only once a week in a limited capacity. We need more. The more, the merrier.
We talked earlier, and you seem to have a really positive outlook on the near future for media in Orange County. How does one, such as yourself, with your background and experience, sort of envision where we will be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
One of the great strengths of Orange County today is its diversity. I've spoken about that several times. There are some really thriving communities here. We've talked about the Vietnamese community, not so little Saigon anymore. We've talked about the Latino community right here, Santa Ana, but it's not just Santa Ana. We've talked about the Asian community in Irvine and so forth. That diversity is a tremendous strength. And what we're seeing nationally, since 2013, the number of, for instance, minority journalists, minorities moving into journalism has grown from 13% nationally to almost 20%, okay? That really suggests good things to come because there's a desire to cover America as it is today or Orange County as it is today. There is a growing number of women moving into journalism. 60% of every young reporter today under 5 years experience is female, all right? That means and suggests great things for Orange County because we reflect and embody that sort of demographic, that human geography, if you will. And I think people like yourself, Scott, and others are going to solve the riddle on how we best connect as a community. Again, we're not Los Angeles. We don't desire to be San Diego. We are Orange County. And it is it sounds a little sort of Hallmark cardish, but we are very much of a melting pot, and we're growing more comfortable with that all the time. And I hope that we take the best of what we are today and find the folks that want to put a spotlight on that and tell stories, and tell real stories, local stories, true stories, stories that have both joy and stories that are difficult, but that's who we are as a mature community. We're not a suburban community anymore. We are a standalone, 45th largest economy in the world by several standards, all right? This is a market that deserves good and great media.
A 2022 report by Northwestern University School of Journalism found what it called signs of hope for communities with limited or diminishing local news and feature coverage, the nonprofit media model. There could be criticism of an organization that's supported by philanthropic money that this is an influence on the editorial coverage. To those individuals, how do you respond?
There's always influences. There's influences, obviously. Look at all the great daily newspapers. They're all run by one of the wealthiest families in all of those places. In the days that daily newspapers were the greatest, they were run by the people that, today's social progressives would see as the ultimate evil influence, and yet they did great work. They didn't always do great work, but the heyday of daily newspapers were under that kind of management. There's biases everywhere. It's just a knee-jerk thing for journalists to see the ownership as the scariest bias. How about the bias of this person gives you access and how you'll cover them? How about the bias of your own politics? There's so many biases that come into play. We're human. There's going to be biases. I don't think certainly people giving money to support the institution, not even owning it, I see that as a trivial concern.
Ashley Alvarado with LAist referred OC World to a quote she says resonates well with people who are still struggling with the kind of journalism that can survive the financial pressures that newsrooms face today. Engaged journalism is an inclusive practice that prioritizes the information needs and wants of the community members it serves, creates collaborative space for the audience in all aspects of the journalistic process, and is dedicated to building and preserving trusting relationships between journalists and the public.